Banded together from remote galaxies are 13 of the most sinister villains of all time, the Legion of Doom. Dedicated to a single objective, the conquest of the universe. Only one group dares to challenge this intergalactic threat.
Yo, what's up guys? It's Zoe, back in again with another video. So today, I hacked my dad's YouTube channel. He does not know this, so hopefully I don't get...
You hacked 3 Men in a Basement?
No.
No, what are you doing down here?
Nothing.
Are you recording a 3 Men in a Basement video?
No.
Do you want to talk about comics?
No.
Do you want to talk about the comic swap that you went to?
Yeah, okay.
Did you have a good time with the comic swap?
Yeah, my favorite part was the candy because who doesn't love candy?
I know. There was candy on all the tables for everybody? Yeah, all right. Was there an independent artist by the name of Brett X there?
Yes, there was.
Who was that?
My uncle and my godfather.
That's right. He was there too, running the show, right?
Yeah.
All right. So you're going to talk comics with me or are you out?
I'm out.
All right. Deuces.
Peace. Peace out, everybody.
All right, everybody. So for those who don't know, that was my daughter, Zarina, hacking in. She's also the camera woman when we do all our trips from the on-site store. So what's up, everybody? Welcome to 3 Men in the Basement. I'm your host, Otto, coming to you live and direct from the grotto. So this is a quick video to recap all the cool things that have been going on. So I just want to give a bunch of shout-outs before we get started. As always, we are sponsored by CGC Blue Label Comics. Check him out on Instagram as CGC Blue Label Comics. Got a lot of great deals. Just brought some fire to the comic swap. I want to give a shout out to Geeky Swag Shop as always. Check him out. He's got some really cool stuff that he's moving. Big shout out to Very Gary, who came to the comic swap. As always, one of the most trusted sellers on IG. He's been on YouTube, so make sure you sub him up. And of course, as always, to my three Men in the Basement brothers, Bernie 1869, Nemesis Prime, always doing the variant spotlight once a week, usually dropping on Sundays. So if you're a comic book collector, comic book investor, and you want to know about the variants, you jump on his stuff because 3 days later the stuff's on eBay for at least 80% more. All right, so if you're into that, you can always flip that stuff. And as always, Lords of the Long Box every Wednesday night. Myself, TiVo, Darkside Jedi. This Wednesday we got a great show coming up with the person who created Comic-Con, and we're going to be interviewing him. So that should be a lot of fun. But as always, thank you for joining us. So we had a bunch of events that went on, and you can watch our videos. We've put them up there. It's got over 500 views right now, so thank you very much. But I just wanted to go over the stuff that we had and just kind of recap, all right? So we did a huge, I'm going to kind of go backwards. So we did a huge unboxing. We had 42 books that we unboxed live, and you can see all the reactions. And I just want to show some of my highlights. This was a New York City Comic-Con exclusive by Unknown Comic Books. Obviously an homage to Hulk 181, which is the personal grail in my collection. I have a 9.2 off-white to cream pages, unfortunately, but what can you do about it? Always thinking about cracking it, pressing it, see what it comes back at, but you know what? I've learned, leave well enough alone. So happy to have this book. It came back at a 9.8. Now, this book came back as a disappointment, but since I'm an Alex Ross fan, the book's not going to go anywhere. It's going to stay in my personal collection. It's the Fantastic Four #1. Alex Ross cover. I think this was a 1 in 50. It came back at 9.2. Why it came back at 9.2, I don't know. I don't work at CGC. I've given up trying to guess, all right? I just hope for the best. But I did have a 9.8 Karate Chop, if you watched it, and that was because this book, Uncanny X-Men #1, this is the wraparound sketch cover done by Dave Cockrum, all right? And this book I've talked about at length. This book came from an advertisement when they were launching X-Men '94. And Dave Cockrum is one of my favorite artists. I got a chance to meet him when I was 12 years old. He autographed my most valuable X-Men comic at the time, which was X-Men '96 on the inside cover. But this was an advertisement, and when I saw that it was on the book, I had to have it. I almost thought about two, to pair it up, because I like to display my comics. I believe that these are works of art, and they should be shown. So if you've ever seen one of my room tours, you can definitely see how I hang them and display them. But what's funny about this, and I've talked about this, is Wolverine is standing over Thunderbird's grave. And in the original advertisement, he's holding a Coors Light or Coors, I don't know, but they definitely edited it out. So if you own this book, please check that out. Little inside story about that. Then I picked up these two, and I'm all about the Marvel hierarchy, the Mount Rushmore stuff, when they can reproduce their books. And just like this one was Dave Cockrum, I had this one done. This was Jack Kirby for Fantastic Four #1. Obviously not the Fantastic Four originally. If you watched our video, it was pretty funny when he said he came out in 9.6, and Bernie 1869 said, if that's an original FF 9.8, you're going to break the internet. So I have the color version done by Jack Kirby. I also got some other sketches. I've got the Spider-Man Ditko. I've got the Kirby Hulk. So once I set them all up, you're going to see all, with the Dave Cockrum, all my original favorites, all in case and stuff like that in these grades. So that came back in 9.6, 9.8. In fact, unfortunately, the 9.6 was the black and white version. Kind of bummed me out a little bit why this got a 9.6 and why that got a 9.8. I don't know. Again, it's in the CG secret sauce. We're recording this in March, and I heard that from January through March, or even a little earlier, CGC has been a little tough on their grading. I've been a result of that. You're seeing stuff like minor stress creases, not color breaks, but stress creases. So maybe press them, bring them the on-site submission. You might get a better grade moving forward with your books if that's what you want to do. Excuse me. Then I had the third book of the Dark Knight Metal, number 3, sent in. I sent the original 2 in, and the Virgin Matina came back in 9.8. Very happy about that. Considering it, moving it. If you're interested, you can DM me, but I'll only sell them as a set. And then I have the, this is the Matina sketch cover. This is the red label. This came back in 9.8. And the newsstand actually came back in 9.6. So they're not linear. So I've got the Virgin Matina 9.8, I've got this 9.8, and the other one, newsstands, a 9.6. Thought about going on eBay and finding out if I can get a 9.6, maybe 9.8, moving this, and then I'll have the triplets at 9.8. But you never know. It's definitely a marathon. I've been collecting since I was 15. Took a long time off to raise my family. But if there's something that I've learned is that, well, 2 things. Comics have gone way up in price. Totally. Great investment if you were a kid. And some of my videos, I talk about that. But more importantly, this is a marathon, okay? This isn't a sprint. This isn't what can you gobble up as fast as you can. This is about building your collection slowly, whether it's comic books, statues, individual runs, things like that. So this hobby has really evolved for me. So thank you very much for sticking with us. 3 Men in the Basement. We really appreciate it because we're always trying to grow and get better. Now, on to the comic swap, okay? So the comic swap was an idea that myself and the 3 Men in the Basement wanted to do, where we wanted to bring all these Instagram collectors. If you're on Instagram, follow me at Everett Otto, Bernie Levesque, Roger Levesque, Bernie 1869, and Nemesis Prime. From my account, Everett_Otto, you can find the rest of us. And I wanted to bring collectors together because on Instagram, in the past 4 years, I've interacted with some amazing people up and down the East Coast to the West Coast. Haven't really branched out to Europe yet, but, and also in Canada. So to our brothers up in Canada. And I wanted to bring us together because I have a lot of books that I could sell on eBay, but I'm lazy and I don't want to be on eBay. I don't want any fees. I want my dollar amount. I feel that if I could sell it to you for a couple dollars less than what I would post on eBay, not getting hit with the fees or trading or moving, then it's a win-win. So I planned this. We planned it. And it was February 23rd, and you can watch that whole video on our 3 Men in the Basement YouTube channel. And it was a lot of fun. Connecticut Comics came, Very Gary, The Butcher, Nick Picasso, Ex-Illusionary was there. We had J&S Collectibles, a big-time dealer. We had, Very Gary showed up with tons of stuff. We had Heroes and Hitters, which is a great store. I did a video about their store. Please check that out. Nemesis Prime, his boy Dave D. We had lots of other people just come, and we ran a great raffle. Shout out to everybody that, donated and participated in our raffle. We earned about 1/3 of what we're looking for towards Wirecast, so thank you very much for that. Already planning another one. Not going to do it this summer. Maybe in between Terrific Con and New York City is what I'm looking at for a date. So come on down. A lot of people couldn't make it. Everybody has families, I understand. But we're going to make the next one even better. So it was at Dakota's Steakhouse in Rocky Hill. Shout out to the staff and the restaurant. They did a great brunch for us, and it was just a great time. So Dennis, 4 Comics, was there, and I've been dealing with Dennis for over 2 years. There's not a better straight shooter on Instagram than him. He's got a sick ASM collection. So Dennis, 4 Comics. I'm not going to get into what he has in his collection, because if you're following me, you see the stuff that he posts. But I'm a huge Legion of Doom fan. Nemesis Prime, Bernie 1869, and Roger Levesque. We love the Legion of Doom from the Super Friends. And my goal is to have all of them, except for Luther. We haven't decided what we're going to do. Their first appearances graded and displayed on my wall. Eventually, that's what I'm going to do. And I did a Raw Grundy showcase. I'm looking right at it. What number is this? Showcase. Showcase 35. Is it 35? Yeah, Showcase 35. That wasn't really slab worthy. So I know Dennis has been picking up a few of these, so I reached out to him. We made a deal. Boom, he shows up within 5 minutes at the comic swap. We make a deal, and I own Showcase, 55, the first appearance of the Silver Age Solomon Grundy. And this is a great book, and I'm psyched to have this in the LOD collection. The yellows and the purple pop, and this is a great story overall. You've got the Silver Age Green Lantern, you've got Dr. Fate, and it's just a good book to read. So if you have a reader copy, check it out. I mean, the book came out in 65. To get an 8.0 off-white to white, totally stoked for it. It's going to look great. So again, shout out to Dennis for always willing to make deals. Then I picked up some Raw books because people like to trade. And Dennis, Very Gary, JNS Collectibles, all those guys, the dealers, were looking to take stuff and move it to shows, man. If I'm sitting on inventory, take it, let it go. I'm very fortunate. I have 2 Avengers. I have actually 3 Avengers First Kang. One was a 5.0 that I bought raw from an LCS, submitted it, pressed it, came back a 5.0. Solid book. I have a 7.5 signed. Yellow label by Stan. Stan's is really pristine, and I have a 9.0, and I'm definitely keeping those. And if you're looking to invest and speculate on books, this book has steadily been climbing to First Kang, because eventually they're going to have time travel, and there's no other better time traveler in the Avengers mythos than Kang. So get that book as you can. Get them now. Get them raw. Slab them. Grade them. And if you're looking to invest money, go ahead, because when you're buying big books, the $2,000-$3,000 books, it's a great way to kind of keep your money invested in the comics, flip it, and then make it from there. So Gary and I made a deal for the Kang, and I don't remember what books I got from who, between JNS Collectibles, Nemesis Prime, CGC Blue Label Comics. I don't remember, but I definitely know that this copy was from Dennis. From Very Gary. This is Giant Size Hulk #1. I have a raw copy signed to myself from Steranko, and I also had Lou Ferrigno sign it to myself. It's in a beautiful Mylar. I keep it on display. This is one of my favorite covers of all time. Steranko did a great Hulk, and Steranko is going to be at a lot of cons up on the East Coast right now. And if you spend 5 minutes with him, he'll give you, years and years of knowledge about his comic book stuff. So I'm going to have this book graded. It's got a little nick right here. I'm hoping 6.5 to 7, but I'm going to have Steranko sign the hell out of it, And if Lou's there, I'll do it with Lou too. But you know what? I grew up to the Hulk. It's the whole reason I started lifting weights. Lou really wasn't a nice guy. But again, I don't... and I followed Lou during the Olympias too. So I was kind of... so I don't know how to say it. Mitch Halleck said it. Sometimes your heroes aren't really what they are. So it's okay. I met him. I shook his hand. I said my piece to him. And I got the signature on the other book. But I'm going to have Steranko sign the shit out of this. And I'm sending this off to CGC. So one of my favorite books. And, our collections are all different. And I know our boy Roger Levesque is a huge ASM 300 cover swipe. And I'm kind of a cover swipe guy when it comes to that. So I've got the Spawn. I've got the Cable. I saw this we went to a local con the following day, and the guy was selling this for close to peanuts. And if you ever watch some of my videos, I'm a huge Lego fan. What Lego is doing is just amazing with all the superheroes, how they're incorporating it into the toy world, how they're bringing their kids into it. So I saw a Lego version of that, and I had to absolutely get it. Yeah, who knows? It's a 1 in 25. Maybe I'll send this off and have this graded. And, if I did that, then I got to do them all. And I don't know if I want to go down that rabbit hole. So maybe I won't. Maybe I'll just display it. But I do agree that the cases make the books really pop. So yeah, so I got that. This is a personal favorite of mine. I'm a huge Transformers fan, and you can see that. I still have some of my original toys when I was a kid. God rest my mother's soul. She kept all that stuff for me, so I'm very happy for that. And Shockwave was one of my favorite villains, okay? I would say, obviously, Megatron, Galvatron, Soundwave and Shockwave are my 4 favorite Decepticons. Obviously, my favorite Autobot is Optimus Prime, one of the greatest leaders of all time. And Dinobots, it would be all of them, especially Grimlock. So I'm going to buy this book raw until I can find the best possible copy, and then I'm going to sign it in. But why would you do that? Why wouldn't you just buy it raw? Because the 9/8 are... Why wouldn't you just buy it on eBay? The 9/8 are really expensive. And again, it's a marathon. I can submit it. I can press it, submit it, come back, and move it. Press it, submit it, come back till I can do it. And I did that with my Teen Titans #2. I've probably bought and sold 8 of those copies till I finally got a raw book to come back in 9/8, and you saw that karate chop. You saw that on 3 Men in a Basement, the 9/8 karate chop for the Teen Titans #2. So that book that I'm talking about right now is Transformers #5. It's just absolutely awesome. It's got Shockwave on the cover. It's got Are All Dead. You know, they're talking about the Autobots, or maybe they're talking about their Decepticons. You never know. Shockwave was always a very smart villain, and he turns into a badass gun, and he just looks really cool. And in a Mylar, this book looks great. I looked over it. I think with a press, it could come back pretty high. So this is actually my 4th copy that I bought raw, and I'm not paying more than $5, $10, maybe $20, but you can usually get a deal on it. So I have that. Now, talk about comic book investing. I've been looking at this for the next villain. Terrax, the Tamer, was one of Galactus' heralds. We all know that everybody hopes, especially if you have that FF 47, 48, 49, that Galactus eventually shows up. Some people believe he's going to bang out, and those books are going to go up even more, but those books are the hottest books. So think under the radar. Think about Fantastic Four 211, the first appearance of Terrax, who eventually could make it. You know, they all eventually could make it, but Terrax could probably make it, and he wasn't a nice herald, okay? A lot of the other heralds came into servitude with Galactus. Terrax was a badass dude, and he cut down the Baxter building with that big-ass stick he has. So, just a really cool book, and maybe a book that's under the radar right now. It's a $20 book, $30 book, depending, but 9/8s are going for $400 or $500. So go after that book. Now, as all of you know, as we talked about on Lords of the Long Box, one of the second tier of Mount Rushmore artists are retiring this year. That's George Perez. So I've talked about books that you should go after with George Perez that some people might not know about. All right. So I'm going to start with this book, and we did talk about this on Lords, but you know it's always good to reiterate it because sometimes you don't really hear it. This is Astonishing Tales 25. This is the first appearance of Deathlock, the Demolisher. Okay. Now, George Perez is not credited in this book. Okay, this is a Rich Buckler cover. Rich Buckler passed away almost 3 years ago. But George Perez, this is the first work that he did in Marvel Comics on pages 1, 2, and 3 of this book. Okay, so just know that. So if you have this book, have George Perez open it up, have him sign it, have him sign the front, and ask him about this, because this is the first time that George Perez did any work with Marvel. So I'm going after anything George Perez stuff to have him sign, because after that he's going to be living in Florida and going to his Freak Fest, which he likes to do. Also, I found a nice copy of this. This is a J&S Collectibles. Oh no, it's a Very Gary copy. All right, Very Gary copy. Earth's Mightiest Avenger, The Avengers, number 196, the first appearance of Taskmaster. Okay, George Perez did this character. George Perez then did Terminator, Deathstroke. Then that was copied to Deadpool. So if you think about this, Taskmaster, who never really caught on like Deathstroke did, or Deadpool did, obviously, but this is George. This is their grandfather. This is Deathstroke's father, you know, when you think about how characters were created. So yes, have this book signed by George Perez. This one, it was George Perez was doing The Avengers. Just a great book, awesome cover. He's on the cover, first appearance, love it. Hate it when the first appearances are not on the cover. This one's got a little ding in it, so I might get whacked on that. But again, it's a book that I'll buy. I can always auction this, sell it, or move it on eBay. Now, the next book I have is a book that I think, this is a J&S Collectibles book, and I think if you're a Spider-Man fan, you should be going after this book, because Cloak and Dagger's really getting a lot of steam, especially since they're going to start season number 2. So this is their first appearance. This was in 86, 85. This is when I was buying books off the rack. Or 84. This is not my personal copy. I have a personal copy. I have another copy. So this might be my third. But this would be the only one that I would send in. And I have a lot of other books that I picked up that I immediately sent to CGC Blue Label Comics to send. I actually sent in 2 more Eternals. I do have a few other things. And yeah. So anyway, I'm getting off task. But I'm going to keep this book. I'll see if I can find another book maybe this summer and then decide which one I'm going to sub. Because you can't go wrong with Spider-Man if you're buying to invest in books. Unfortunately, Spider-Man #1 has, doubled in price in the last 3.5 years. The villains are starting to creep up and up, especially in the investor grade, which is a term that I just learned. Investor grade is somewhere starting at a 7, all the way up if you're buying books for that reason. In my opinion, I'm not an expert by any means. And I'm also buying as many Eternals as I can, okay? 1, 2, and 3, because all 3 of them have first appearances. that if this movie takes off, it's going to be great. We've talked about this on Lords. You never wanted an Eternals movie until you had it. You never wanted a Guardians of the Galaxy movie until they gave it to you. They just know what they're doing, and Kevin Feige we trust, okay? So, I've been yapping here for almost 20 minutes, and I'm just going to sign off. So, some things that we have coming on. It's Monday, March 4th. We've got some trailers that are dropping. We've got Nemesis Prime. He just dropped his video for the variants. We've got Lords of the Long Box this Wednesday night. I'm trying to do another live 3 Men in the Basement this Saturday night, early, 5 o'clock Eastern time. Trying to get a guest on here via Google Hangout, but we're going to get the whole crew together to talk about what they've had. You know, the 2-week hangover from the comic swap, the 2-week hangover from the unboxing. And on behalf of all the 3 Men in the Basement, myself, Bernie1869, Roger Levesque, Nemesis Prime, I am Otto, this is my grotto, and I am out. Peace.
Eclectic method.
Somebody get this big walking carpet out of my way.